I never believed those stories people tell about traveling fairs. You know, the ones where workers disappear, or where rides shut down for maintenance after someone dies. I thought it was all fake, until last October, when I took a temporary night job at a rundown carnival outside a small town in Ohio. And by the end of that week, I found a locked trailer hidden behind the Ferris wheel. Inside it were photographs of employees who had gone missing over the last 12 years. Every single photo had one thing in common: a red X drawn over their face. Except mine. Mine had a question mark. My name's Daniel. At the time, I was 23 and desperate for money. I'd recently lost my apartment after getting laid off from a warehouse job, and I was sleeping in my car most nights. So when I saw a temporary hiring sign for a traveling fair called Marlowe's Midway Carnival, I applied immediately. The pay wasn't amazing, but they offered cash every night. No background check, no interview. That should have been the first red flag. The fair had set up in a huge empty field outside a quiet town. The place looked old, not vintage old, rotting old. Rust on the rides, flickering bulbs, torn game tents flapping in the wind. Even during the daytime, the whole carnival felt wrong, like it didn't belong there. The owner hired me within 5 minutes. His name was Rick Marlowe. Tall guy, gray beard, permanent cigarette hanging from his mouth. He barely looked at me while talking. He just handed me a flashlight and said, "Night patrol, midnight to 6. Don't go near the south trailers." That was it. No explanation. Just don't go near the south trailers. The first 2 nights were mostly normal. My job was simple. Walk around after closing. Make sure nobody snuck into the fairgrounds. Most of the workers stayed in trailers parked behind the rides, but something felt off about them. Nobody talked much. Nobody smiled. And every single person looked exhausted, like they hadn't slept in days. There was one worker named Eli who operated the Ferris wheel. Skinny guy, nervous all the time. On my second night, he stopped me while I was making rounds. "You hear screaming last night?" I laughed. "No." He stared at me for a second, then quietly said, "Good," and walked away. That night, around 2 a.m., I heard it. A scream. Far away. Short. Cut off suddenly. I froze. The sound came from the southern end of the carnival, near the trailers Rick warned me about. At first, I told myself it was probably drunk teenagers nearby, but then I saw movement between the trailers. Someone running. Fast. I raised my flashlight. The person disappeared behind a storage container. I started walking toward it, and the closer I got, the quieter everything became. No wind, no generators, nothing. Just silence. Then I noticed something strange. One of the trailers had thick chains wrapped around the handles. From the inside, I heard banging. I backed away immediately. Every instinct told me to leave. But then a voice came from inside the trailer. Weak. Desperate. "Help me!" I just stood there, frozen. The voice sounded like a young woman. She started crying, saying someone locked her inside. I grabbed the chains and tried pulling them loose, but they were secured with heavy padlocks. Then suddenly, a hand grabbed my shoulder. I almost screamed. It was Rick, the owner. He looked furious. "What did I tell you?" I stuttered something about hearing noises. Rick stared at the trailer for a long moment, then calmly said, "There's nobody in there." But right after he said that, the banging started again, louder this time. The entire trailer shook, and I swear to God, I heard multiple voices screaming at once. Rick didn't even react. He just grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt and pulled me away. "You ever come back here again?" he whispered. "You leave in a body bag." That night, I quit. Or at least, I tried to. The next morning, I packed my stuff and headed toward my car. But before I could leave, I saw police vehicles entering the fairgrounds. Apparently a teenage girl from town had gone missing the night before, and witnesses said they'd seen her near the carnival. The second I heard that, I thought about the trailer. I should have gone to the police immediately, but I hesitated because I had no proof. And honestly, I was scared. Instead, I stayed one more night. I told myself I just needed evidence, something concrete. That night, the atmosphere changed completely. The workers acted nervous, like they knew something bad was happening. Around midnight, I noticed two men carrying large black trash bags behind the southern trailers. The bags looked heavy, too heavy. One of them leaked something dark onto the dirt. I followed them from a distance. They entered a long storage trailer at the very edge of the property, and a few minutes later, I heard metal clanging, like tools hitting concrete. That's when I called the police anonymously. I whispered the location and hung up. But before officers arrived, the entire carnival suddenly shut down. All the lights went black. Every ride, every booth, everything. And in the darkness, I heard footsteps around me. Fast, multiple people. I turned on my flashlight. Nobody there. Then the beam landed on the Ferris wheel, and I nearly threw up. Someone was hanging from the top carriage, upside down, motionless. Police arrived 10 minutes later, but by then, the body was gone. The carnival workers claimed I imagined it. Rick acted calm the entire time, too calm. The officers searched the grounds for less than 30 minutes before leaving. No trailer checks, no arrests, nothing. That's when I realized something horrifying. The police already knew about this place. Maybe not everything, but enough. Around 3 a.m., Eli found me sitting near the game booths. He looked terrified. He handed me a small key and whispered, "If you want to know the truth, trailer 14. Then he walked away. I waited until nearly dawn before sneaking toward the southern trailers again. Trailer 14 looked abandoned. No lights, no sound. My hands were shaking while unlocking it. The smell hit me first. Rotting food, mold, something worse underneath it. Inside, the walls were covered in photographs, dozens of them. Missing people, workers, teenagers, travelers. Every photo had dates written underneath. Some went back over a decade. Then I saw the newest photo, the missing teenage girl, alive, crying, tied to a chair. The picture looked recent, very recent, and next to it was a stack of videotapes. One of them had yesterday's date written on it. That's when footsteps approached outside. Voices. 3 or 4 men. I shut off my flashlight immediately. The trailer door suddenly rattled. Someone was trying to open it. "Check inside." I climbed beneath a filthy bed frame just seconds before the door burst open. Boots entered the trailer. I could see them walking inches from my face. One of the men laughed quietly. "He knows too much," another voice answered. "Rick said handle it before sunrise." Then I recognized one of the voices. It was Eli, the Ferris wheel operator, the same guy who warned me, the same guy who gave me the key. I realized too late. It was a setup. One of the men suddenly crouched down and looked directly under the bed. I ran. I kicked him in the face and bolted through the trailer door. The entire carnival erupted behind me. Men shouting, footsteps chasing me. I sprinted between dark rides and tents while flashlights searched everywhere. Then I heard gunshots. Real gunshots. One bullet hit the metal beside my head. I climbed the Ferris wheel platform, thinking I could hide above them. Huge mistake. At the top carriage, I found blood. Fresh blood. And carved into the metal seat were dozens of names. Missing people. Victims. I heard footsteps climbing after me. Closer, closer. Then suddenly, the Ferris wheel powered on by itself. The entire structure jerked violently. I almost fell 30 feet. Below me, Rick stared up, smiling, calmly smoking a cigarette. "You should have left," he yelled. I jumped. Not from the top, but high enough to shatter my ankle when I hit the ground. The pain was unreal, but adrenaline kept me moving. I crawled through a gap in the fencing and made it to the highway. A truck driver found me around sunrise. I told police everything. The trailers, the photographs, the tapes, the missing girl. This time they actually raided the carnival. But when officers arrived, the entire place was gone. Every ride, every trailer, every worker, gone overnight, like the carnival had never existed. Police told me there was no evidence supporting my claims. But 3 months later, I received something in the mail with no return address. Inside was a single photograph. It showed me crawling out beneath the carnival fence that night. And written across the back in red marker were 5 words. "See you at the next fair."